Okay, we're going to give people a minute, the attendees, to come in. All right. As people are logging on and for everyone watching the recording, welcome to the District 12 Arts Vote ATL Forum, Candidate Forum. We're very, very excited to have with us today one of the District 12 candidates, Antonio Lewis. Janae Shepard was unable to join us due to a family emergency that occurred last night. And Joyce Shepard, we reached out to several times and didn't get a reply from, but we are happy to have Antonio here and looking forward to hearing more about his thoughts on the arts. And I want to welcome also our moderator, Martine Philippe. Martine is a UGA grad and has been around the arts in Atlanta for a couple of decades now, I think. Everywhere from the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs to the Woodruff Arts Center when Young Audiences was there, through area, through the Girl Scouts. Martine has been in some really amazing places and is now the executive director of the Creatives Project. So Martine, we are grateful to you for your service to the arts community and grateful to you for being here to moderate this panel today. Moderate the panel of one with Antonio. But we're grateful for you to be here to lead the conversation. The last thing I want to do before I let y'all dive into it is just thank the whole vote team at Arts Vote ATL. We're grateful to all of the volunteers that care about this city, care about arts in this city, and care about getting some great people onto city council and onto the school board so that we can make some change and continue to make Atlanta the great city we all know it is. So with no further ado, Martine and Antonio, I will leave it up to you and enjoy the conversation.
Thank you, Gretchen. Well, hey, Antonio, it is such an honor to have this discussion with you and to sit here on behalf of the arts and culture community in District 12. I thought maybe we should get started. Since it's just the two of us, you can share a bit about your time and experience with arts and culture here across the city of Atlanta.
Yeah. So I got into the art world pretty recently. I mean, actually over the past year. I've traveled to, over the past 6 years, I've worked for in the labor movement. So I've been able to travel and live in every city in America. And so I've seen just different cultures. And if you think about how long art has been a part of Atlanta, if you walk through our airport, through the bottom floor, you'll see just how intentional we were about placing art in our airport. And so what we did but I also live in a community that I grew up in, and I saw that there was no art anywhere. We were basically, had to go to Little Five Points, which was about 30 minutes away just to see any murals. And so once I was driving my grandmother through Little Five Points, and she actually saw some murals of Dr. King and of Rep. John Lewis, and she couldn't believe it. And I had realized she never seen a mural. I realized that day she never saw a mural in person except on TV. And so that moment, myself, I started an organization called Organize to Mobilize, and we reached out to private partners in the community that I grew up in, and we put up 9 full-scale murals in that one community. And so what that art did to that community is drive down crime right there. We've seen rap videos be shot right there at those murals. And we just had people just coming from all parts of the city taking photos of just that art. So that's my inclusion in the art world, just partnering artists with private folks.
Okay, so I like what you said about, what you thought the arts could do for that community where you grew up. So now here across District 12, how do you see the arts and culture community? Like, what ways do you see they could be leveraged to improve the quality of life for the residents in District 12?
Yeah, so people take care of things that look nice. And anytime people think of arts, I'm talking about murals right now, because I just have so much personal experience with them as of recently. And so I saw, after we put up murals at this one convenience store, Food Mart on the corner of Cleveland Avenue and Macon Drive, I saw that the crime went down right there. I saw the grass get mowed a little more. I saw the business owner of that store, who had owned that store for 40 years, tear down a property that was on his property and make it more of a, he tore down like a property that was like ruined, and made it more of a parking lot. He fixed the parking lot. I saw him buy the store across the street that was also a torn up a building, and he recreated another store, and he's asking us to put a mural on that store. I saw little kids come up and take and clap as we did the mural. I saw kids put their fingerprints. So I saw what it did for the community, and it was just a good thing. It made people care more about the community. And the community I grew up in is District 12. So I know what it could do if we continue to do it. And I was just on one corner. As a matter of fact, we put Black Lives Matter on a barbershop, and the barbershop changed their name to the Black Lives Matter Barbershop.
Amazing.
And the building next door to them got rented out. It got rented out. So I'm seeing this happen because of these murals.
That's amazing. I'm really energized to hear about the impact you believe the arts has on the community. So nonprofit arts organizations like mine, like the Creatives Project and the independent artists that we represent, we rely heavily on public funding and support. And as you might be aware, Atlanta's nonprofits and the cultural landscape as a whole kind of suffers from chronic undersupport. So what are your thoughts on ways to solve this? And who do you think should lead those efforts to address those issues where our organizations are undersupported?
One of the best things about your context and your platform is that one of the first paragraphs mentions Mayor Shirley Franklin. I studied under Mayor Shirley Franklin. That was my first job. I know about the investment she made in things. I understand her love for the art world too. And so some of the things I think that the public-private partnerships is, I think we have to get some public-private partnerships, but also federal dollars inside of Atlanta. We're dealing with a city council that allows money to go back to the federal government because they can't spend it. You get what I'm saying? They don't, by me, my first job in life, I worked on Capitol Hill in DC. So I understand how to get money from the government. I understand when cities get money, they don't want it to go back. Atlanta, we used to have innovative, dynamic leaders in Atlanta, which is why we were deemed the city too busy to hate. And so they would go and attack that money, that federal money, they would go get it and they would bring it in. And that's how those nonprofits would be able to actually use the funding. Myself, what we did was I run a nonprofit called Organize to Mobilize, and we have a sub organization called Young Mobilizers. And what I did was I actually asked my private friends for money, and I asked the business owners for money. And we painted murals by just using that. We just pitching in. But imagine if I had City of Atlanta resources to leverage the federal government for these nonprofits. And that's the route we have to move. Federal funds have to be what we use, federal and state partners.
Thank you. So when you think about independent artists, creatives, gig workers, their families, all these folks who were severely impacted by this current COVID-19 pandemic. And, we all know what happened to the contracted economy as a result of this pandemic. What policies will you support that will directly address their needs?
So the city, once again, I'll say this again, the city of Atlanta let money go back this year for that reason exactly. The funds that went back were for payment assistance and for rental assistance. So they could actually help people. So that's one thing. I would not let a dollar go back. And when we talk about the families of artists, I work with Tiffany Davis, who's a ATL Art Vibes here in Atlanta. She does artwork. I work with Jared. Jared, he's the guy who painted all of the John Lewis murals all over the city of Atlanta. So I know them personally. I know the stories. I know what they went through during the pandemic. That's how we were able to get this beautiful artwork on the wall. They volunteered their time. So I know about the investment that they make. I will not let federal dollars go back. I will bring federal dollars in. If there's funds for that, I will help pay for it. And here's the thing, in San Francisco, they're using funds to help gig workers. Why aren't we in Atlanta? Because we don't have innovative, dynamic leadership. That we used to have it. That's my thing. We used to have it. We need it again.
As you're speaking, I'm thinking about the inequities that exist right now within and across Atlanta's arts and culture community in terms of how folks, arts organizations, artists are funded. Like who gets funding, how these organizations receive funding, as well as like the neighborhoods across the city where folks are more likely to have arts and cultural offerings that are supported by public funds. What are your ideas on how those inequities might be addressed? And like, who do you think should lead those efforts?
The city has to lead those efforts. The city has to be very intentional with it, right? So I tell you, I run a nonprofit and we painted murals. That money came from my pocket and my friend's pocket. We didn't get any city money. We should have got some city money for that. We should have got some grant money for that. The thing, I think the reason why a lot of reason why there are any inequities in the art world in Atlanta is because folks on one side don't even ask for the money. We don't even know how to go down and ask for the grant money. For example, when I was running that nonprofit, though I didn't have time to actually do it, if they would have came and sat down in that barbershop like everybody else, I was able to sign up over 6,000 people in the city of Atlanta on Obamacare because we signed them up in the barbershop. If we had innovative, creative leadership, it would be a little different, I think. So I part of it is, I think Atlanta's a city too busy to hate. I think I think people just are not asking for it. Mm-hmm. And because I'm one of the folks that didn't ask for it. I think a lot of times my grandmother didn't know it could exist. She didn't even know that murals could go on that convenience store because nobody knew it could, because this private person owns it. Who's gonna go ask him, can they paint on his store? I will. I want to ask 5 people, could I paint on their stores, which is why we have 9 full-scale murals, and we have convenience stores and gas station owners asking me to paint on their stores. And you know what I mean? But now we have to be able to pay these artists something. I have to be able to go get some grant money because I don't want to have my friends who I know are going through struggles paint for free, which I know they will do if I ask them to.
Right. Okay. So if you had to create an arts and culture policy plan for your district, District 12, what key components or key priorities would that policy plan include?
It would be, our arts and culture would be also surrounded around like where we have food deserts and where kids are. So I would want the man, so much included. It would be included in that because I would try to probably include agriculture in it as well. Only because arts, food, we have, I think they just go together. Every time I see like a artsy area, is always like a lot of greeny food in the area as well. So if I had to create a arts and culture plan for District 12, I would look at all of basically what we're doing now. I would go to private business owners and mom and pop stores in the communities. I would ask them if they wanted murals on their stores. I would ask them what type of murals, because a lot of times people get murals in their on their businesses that they don't want. From what I've seen, I actually had somebody tell me he stopped the person from painting because he didn't like what it was about to be, and he had to paint back over in white. So I would actually go to the store owners and ask them about it. I would partner up with the high schools so that the students can be a part of it, because I've actually have videos of, we had parties and events surrounded around every mural painting that we did. We had DJs come out to every mural painting that we did. And so I would make it a whole thing. And we would try to do one at least once a month. We have so much space in District 12 for murals because they haven't done them ever. You get what I'm saying? We are the untapped market of Atlanta, and I can't wait until we can tap into it.
Absolutely. So as you know, and to point this out for the folks who are listening, the city of Atlanta's last comprehensive arts and culture plan was completed in 2006, which was 15 years ago. So it's imperative for those of us who are currently working in that industry, in that field across the arts and culture sector. We want to hear from candidates who are running what their purview and what their perspective is, without, especially, working alongside in city council, without a comprehensive plan, to work from. It's really important for us to hear about your vision.
If my opponent's wrong here, they can probably give you their vision, but we all live in the same district. They have been on the MPU. I'm not on the MPU. They've ran the MPU systems in our community, and the other one's been an elected official for 17 years. They can't tell you about artwork they put up in the district. They can tell you about my friends who've painted artwork in their area. And part of, which is a total different from what we're doing. We're directly responsible for the work.
I appreciate that. So if you happen, to become the representative for your district, what are some of the first steps to engaging the arts community?
Yeah, since we haven't had an arts plan since that, my first time understanding that since 2006, 2007, that was under Mayor Shirley Franklin. And that's 2 mayors ago. And that'd be one of the first things I would do. I'll put together a group of folks. I don't have all the ideas. I would reach out to the HBCUs that we have in the city of Atlanta. We have Spelman Clark, Morehouse, Morris Brown. We have Georgia State. We have Atlanta Art Institute, Savannah Art and Design. I reach out to and I would try to put together a task force of folks to come up with ideas of how we need to do it in an equitable way. Because my grandma shouldn't have to wait till her grandson gets enough friends to donate money to him to do an art show. You get what I'm saying? My grandma shouldn't have to wait for that. My grandma paid for the Beltline to be here because her taxes paid for it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think people that live just on the south side of the Beltline, we deserve to have arts and culture in our community right now. We shouldn't have to wait until we're gentrified fully for it.
Speaking of gentrification, what perspective and views can you share about affordable housing and how that relates to the emerging and independent artists here in your district and across the city?
I look at gentrification differently. I think I look at affordable housing differently. Affordable housing, the way we look at it in Atlanta, we've lied. We used to look at it the right way. We had innovative, dynamic leadership who had a 60-40 plan in which you had to 40% had to be affordable housing, 60% could be market-based. That was innovative and dynamic, but that was 30-40 years ago. It's time for us to change this up. I actually recently visited New York City, and Rep. Carson, State Rep. Carson, he actually has an affordable housing building in the middle of Brooklyn. And next door to one of the biggest parks in the city of Brooklyn, he has an affordable housing building with wraparound services that with three-bedroom homes for $1,200 or less in New York City and Brooklyn. And so we've talked about affordable housing like they have to be mixed income systems. In the city of Atlanta, we had over 100,000 people displaced over a 10-year period. We're the first city in America to get rid of all of their public housing. In my district alone, I can name 3 different apartment projects: Jonesboro South, Jonesboro North, and Lila Valley, where my father's from, which is 2,250 people who were displaced. We were promised that those folks were going to get vouchers or get brought back. You know what's going on in those areas? Jonesboro South now has homes going for $350,000 to $400,000. Jonesboro North, which is less than a half a mile away, is wooded until they decide what they want to do with that. And it's going for $15,000 right now. Lila Valley is wooded until they decide what they want to do with that. Jonesboro South brought back 0 affordable housing. So we have to stop some of this stuff that's going on.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your views on that. And so
I apologize if you can hear anything in my background. I'm in an office with a loud outdoor. If you give me 1 second, I'm gonna stop it.
Oh no, we can't. I don't hear any background noise.
Gotcha.
As far as your constituents are concerned, as it relates to the arts, what do you want folks who are listening and tuning in to walk away knowing about you and your view and vision for the arts across District 12?
A lot of people are in Atlanta and they're living in silos. They don't visit, they don't turn down those streets that their parents told them not to turn down 20 years ago. You can actually be born in Atlanta, be Black and born on third base and thought you hit a triple. They forgot about us. And I will always be known as a person from Cleveland Avenue, which is what they call me, the guy from Cleveland Avenue. We've already started doing murals before we got elected. I'm not one of those guys that said, hey, watch what I do when I get elected. I'm going to start doing the work and let the community make a decision because the status quo isn't working. And so I will not let a dollar go back to the federal government because we don't know how to spend it. I will bring dollars in. My community will not be left out. And Shirley Franklin is one of my mentors. And she's one of the people that actually did do the arts plan. We'll bring that back. That's one of the things I would definitely do because I'm already in this space. And if you look at city council, there's no one on city council in this space that already were putting up murals before they joined city council. And so, which is a different space, as you as an artist should know, that's already raised dollars for art, which is something I've already done in the private world. So imagine if I was able to do it as a city council person.
Absolutely. Thank you. So these, this discussion, the questions were pushed up from the arts community in your district. And I just want to take a moment for anyone who might be in our chat live to take the time now to drop any questions that you may have in the chat so that I can be sure to ask Antonio before we wrap up. But I just want to thank you for making time for this conversation, Antonio, because again, as someone who is working alongside many other arts organizations in District 12, there are many of us who are concerned about this upcoming election and want to be sure that we can partner with our elected officials to keep pushing the envelope in our area and to ensure that we're supported, that we can continue to present quality artwork to the residents across our district. And it's just so much easier when we know that we have, leaders like yourself who, will support us, who will bring your own fresh ideas in view that we can work alongside in partnership, again, to ensure that residents across the district have transformational experiences with visual arts, with performing arts, and to continue to push that forward. So I really appreciate your perspective.
And I'm open to learn. I don't know. Tiffany Davis and Jared have taught me mostly everything I know about art over the past 2 years. And I think they're amazing artists. You come with your ideas and I can't wait to put them together. Tiffany came to me and she said, hey, Antonio, I want to do art. I want to do murals. That wasn't my idea. She said, I don't know how to do them in the community. I said, well, let me figure out how to get them done. I went to the store owners. I said, hey, you don't have to give us any money. Help me pay for the paint. If you pay for the paint, we'll paint the building. And the store owners painted the building. I mean, they paid for the paint, we painted the building. So if you are in the art world, help get me elected and let's make this work because we've seen what the incumbents do. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio.
Thank you. Thank you both. On behalf of Arts Vote ATL, the arts community in Atlanta, Martine, thank you for leading this discussion today. Antonio, thank you for coming and sharing your thoughts. This will be available to push out to constituents and to other artists. So we hope that you'll continue to share. And regardless of where you live, regardless of where you go vote. These local elections are hugely important. It's where we're going to see change. So thank you all. Thank you all so much.
Good night.
Bye, y'all.